Welcome to Maker Conversations. I'm your host, Tiff Marchand from NIGHTCARVER Designs. And today on the show, I've got Stone from Stonefinity. He is the face of Onefinity CNC, and he's an amazing person. Stone has helped me with so many issues over the years of me, either user errors or something maybe has happened. And it's always just been really quick and easy to resolve. So I really appreciate that support, and I hope you like getting to know him a bit more. If you're going to be at Maker Camp, make sure you stay tuned to the end of the show as we talk a little bit more about what to expect from both of us at Sabretooth and at Onefinity for that show. And speaking of Sabretooth, a huge thank you to them for sponsoring this show. You know they're my favorite power carving company, and you can use NIGHTCARVER 10 in all caps to save 10% if you are thinking about grabbing some burrs. And as always, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter because there's a 25% off coupon that goes out once a month. All right, guys, enough of that, and stay tuned. I hope you enjoy the show. All right, well, thank you for turning our conversation into a podcast. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'm excited to do it.
Cool. Well, I know you want to talk about Maker Camp. I'm sure we're going to talk about Onefinity, and I'd like to know about you, though, first, kind of like how you even got into this maker world. Like, do you make on your own, or is it just for Onefinity, the stuff that you're working on?
So I guess I started out pretty young, making stuff just by hand. My grandpa worked for Sears, and he made furniture for them, when they did it, in store, and they used to do it all by hand. So it's a lot different than furniture now. But my dad was a mechanic, and he did a lot of woodworking stuff, and just a lot of things I picked up from the two of them, and uncles, and just other influences in my life that kind of did those things. So I've always kind of enjoyed it. But now for Onefinity, I really don't even make a lot of stuff. It's more, I'm doing support and working with customers. So
got you. Has Morgan taken over all of the videos now, or are you still making some stuff?
No, so Morgan does all of. It's kind of weird. I do all of like our technical stuff. So any of our how-to videos, or like
new
assembly,
releases,
stuff like
or
that. Yeah. I do that stuff, and Morgan is doing more like content-based stuff. So he just finished a video today on an enclosure that'll be coming out, soon, if it hasn't already been put up on the YouTube. I haven't even looked at what he's done. But he's doing stuff like, projects and things you can do once you have the machine, whereas I'm doing more of the technical side of it.
That's
maintenance,
cool.
assembly. So
you kind of need that. You need somebody to inspire all the people that want to have this tool or already have it. And then people who just got it, they need to know how to use it. So super smart having both of those. Like that's nice to have a partner like that.
Yeah. And it definitely makes it easier, if I've got a project or he's got a project, we can kind of bounce stuff off of each other. But also just like being able to check each other's videos for each other before we post them, things like that. It makes it a lot easier, a lot smoother.
Yeah, you have a built-in buddy with that system, because I know a lot of makers try to like group together and try to have like your core little 3-people team or something where you could be completely honest and give feedback. So
sure,
that's really nice.
But yeah, it's just been kind of like a team effort, I guess, of splitting things up and doing stuff like that. But hopefully I'll be getting to make some more actual like content and projects, things like that, as we move out of this stage of craziness. The beginning of the year is crazy for every company. So
well, plus with coming out with the bigger machines, like that's a lot. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of tech things that happen when you're releasing a new product like that. Just shipping and just upgrade. A lot of people upgrade, I assume, too.
Yeah, so we haven't announced like an upgrade program officially for the Elite Series yet. We've said for, I don't know, a year now, it's coming, it'll be here, but that hasn't officially launched, but hopefully we'll have some more things on that soon. So
that's cool, because I know you've done that in the past, like when the Journeyman came out, like you had to be able to, trade in this rail and we'll send you this one for whatever amount.
Yeah, exactly. So we plan on doing that, being able to upgrade whatever you have now to an elite machine. It's been crazy with, all the sales of the new machines, getting those out before we can start an upgrade. So that's kept us really busy.
How far in advance are you guys working on something before it gets released? I'm assuming quite a while.
Months and months.
Yeah.
Like, we announced the Elite Series machines in the end of November. So it was like the 27th or 28th. But I had one in June.
Yep.
Like, we were already testing stuff back in, late May, early June. So and there's stuff that we've got in the works now that I can't say a whole lot about, but we've had working on it for, some of it up to a year, some of it a little longer. So there's always a ton of stuff in the pipeline. But how quick everything gets done to get it out is a different story. So
yeah, I bet. Have you been with the team the whole time?
Not the whole time technically. So I actually started on a part-time basis. Not quite 3 years ago. I'm like 2 months shy of 3 years ago. Because I started and I was just making videos at first. Like, the assembly video was my very first day on the job. And I had never touched a CNC machine before.
I was gonna ask like that, yeah.
It was like, hey, we need somebody to be the video guy that is just a face. So
yeah,
I was young and dumb and didn't know what I was doing with my life, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. And now it's been almost 3 years, 2 years officially since I've gone full time. But it's been almost 3 years now that I've been with Winfinity. So
that's awesome. You're the one who taught me how to assemble it, so thank you.
it's not that hard. It's not
It's
that
not.
hard.
It's so simple, and that's what I love about it. Like, that's why, like, I kept on asking Winfinity, like, please trust in me, trust in me, trust in me, because I really wanted that machine. Because I had the X-Carve before, and I remember the setup process and like how much work went into putting that machine together. 16 hours it took, like, just way too long. Yeah.
Like a whole nother job on top, learning to use it, being able to assemble it. And if you come up at the end with one or two extra bolts and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people do that. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're like, what did I do wrong? And then you're just screwed because you got to take it all apart and start over.
And they always say the whole thing, like, it's good because you're getting to know your machine. It's like, no, I don't want to know a machine that has that many parts. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, today when I had my switch, it stopped working, and I contacted you guys. It's as easy as, okay, we'll send you a new switch. You got to unplug it and plug it back in. Like, that's the kind of maintenance that I need. So that's one of my big appeals for the machine.
Well, that's one of our biggest things, is like, we try to make it as easy as possible for the customer. So, I mean, it's a CNC machine, so there's obviously going to be, learning curves. It's like that.
Yeah.
But, like, when you get a machine that is in, 5 pieces when you count the controller, and then you put in some wires and then you turn it on, and that's it. There's nobody else doing it like that. So we try to keep it simple. We try to make all of our assembly, all of our maintenance, all of that's really simple. So we try to just make it more focused on, hey, use the machine. It's not going to break, like, it's simple, it's robust.
It's
so
strong.
Your limit is what you can think of with your mind. It's not a limit of the machine anymore. So
I'm just like staring at your machine as as we're chatting, because you've got like all the little custom things on it with the side rail and stuff, and like dust guards.
I've got lots of stuff on there. A lot of the community members actually have reached out and sent me stuff. Like, I've got the hose boom from Rowdy Roman. The dust guards are from Nick Nofsinger. But that's another great part of it. There's a ton of people in the community that are so willing to help each other out. And like, those guys sent me that stuff just because they wanted me to test it, make sure it was up to, like, support standards.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And I think that's another little cool part of my job, is getting to be part of the community.
I know, more and more over the years. I loved when I saw they made you like have an account, and like you said, be the face of the company. Like, it's nice to have someone, and like, that's who I'm talking to. Like, no other company. I mean, I guess we'll Sabretooth because I'm the face of that company.
Sure.
So like, it's so nice when there's actually a real person behind the account, and like, when you're DMing or messaging support, it's like, oh, I'm just talking to Stone. Like, it's to me, it calms me, because I hate calling help desk numbers.
I would 100% agree because
Yeah.
like there's nothing more, I guess, infuriating really than when like you just need to talk to a person for 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get a hold of anybody. That's the thing. So our Facebook, if you message our Facebook, you'll get an automated message just because I
Yeah,
can't tell you how many messages we get.
I'm
But
sure.
everything, all of our email, our Instagram, even our Facebook, I'll still get on there and reply to people after the automated message. But yeah, me and Mark and Jen, all three of us really get on there and we keep it going, try to make sure everybody gets responded to.
You guys are fast.
It's a full-time job, but that's why they pay me the big bucks, right?
It's for the face and then, the support that you provide.
I don't know if
That's
I'm
yeah.
getting paid for this. I just
Yeah.
shaved for the first time in like 3 years, and my face feels weird.
I was gonna say you look different than when I talked to you earlier.
Yeah, I shaved right before this. Actually, I was like, I guess I'll do it.
Thanks for looking good for myself and the audience who watches it. Because
Absolutely.
it's available on Spotify and YouTube. For those who don't know, you can see the video too. So I'm gonna plug
All
that.
poor people. Poor people.
I like having the video. I will, it takes a lot more time because you want to make it look nice or whatever, but it's nice if you don't know the guests and you want to watch, or like if you have 3 guys on and 3 women, like just to know who
Yeah,
is who,
differentiating. Who's
Yeah.
talking. That makes sense.
Because every week it rotates. Like I don't have the same people on. So I get it.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for, asking me to do this because when we were talking, I was just like, hey, can I give you a call to talk about this? And you just said, let's make it a podcast. So I want to say thanks for
Oh, you're
having
welcome.
me on because this is cool. This is actually my first podcast. So
Oh, you're all relaxed. I thought you've done this before.
no, I just talk into a computer all the time for videos. So you get
That's
used
true.
to it.
You do. I always tell people like if they're afraid to like make a reel or something like that where they're putting their face in it, to start practicing in stories. Because once you start doing that, like you said, once you're talking to a computer all day, that's no problem after a while.
It feels really weird at first just because you're like, I feel stupid talking to a camera. But
Mm-hmm.
once you get used to it, it's just like I'm just doing part of a job. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Exactly.
can't tell you how many cuts I have in my phone from, hey, this is Stone, and I say, whatever wrong and just stop it. I probably have 2,000 of them by now.
I hate when I replay my stories and I'm saying the same thing at the beginning of every single one.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, those poor people. I like consciously try not to now.
So there was one guy last year I met, and I swear every sentence he started with, okay, so now anytime I see someone do that or say that, like it's just like I
Drives
can't
you.
focus on anything after that. It's just okay, so
I'm trying to think of the word that I say. It must be like, all right. I think it's all right. I think I start every freaking story with all right. So, and like I consciously will record it again because I know I did that 3 times in a row. And I'm like, no, if I was watching your stories, I would be like, no, bitch, you're gone. Like swipe, you
oh,
know?
man.
So, what did you want to know about Maker Camp? Let's talk about it because I've gone twice now. I've gone as like my first time I ever went, I kind of just went there with some tools from Sabretooth and some tools from Works and some paint. And then I held 2 classes on some picnic tables in the morning. And then I was just a guest. And then the second time I went full on as Sabretooth, had a tent that was all ours. And then we had some people that were sharing it with us. And we taught carving classes all day long. So I can give you all the info that you want.
So I mean, I've talked to some people about it, at Workbench Con and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of know like the general idea of it, but I'm kind of wondering more as a brand,
Mm-hmm.
what's your time there look like?
For like how many hours I put in.
Not even the hours, like I guess just like when you are going throughout your day, you're teaching classes, like how
Mm-hmm.
many classes are you teaching? Um,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Just like more of the ins and outs of, what to expect during a normal day at Maker Camp.
No, totally. So I'm gonna pull up my file so I can see what I did last year because I'm gonna be doing the same thing this year. And of course, I'm not going to be able to find it. Let's see. You know, it's tough on some episodes, but this episode's been so smooth so that if I only have to stop once mid-conversation to edit, I'm all right with that.
That's a good day. Any day you only have to make one cut.
Yeah, like that's normally impossible, but
That is the worst part, without a doubt,
is
about
all the editing.
editing. I could shoot a video in 20 minutes and then spend 6 hours editing, which is ridiculous, but I mean that's just how it is.
And then you got to do the voiceovers and all that stuff. And then
I
if
will
there's some
say,
B-reel, you need to go film again because you missed something.
the B-reel's easy though, because you're not like, I don't know. I've gotten where I try to set up and try to do the whole thing in one take if I can. And usually it doesn't work out.
I say that's hard.
But I've gotten really good at the voiceover where I can just plan my thoughts and then just go for it. But when you're making up the assembly video or how to do something, it's pretty easy to not be wrong.
Yeah.
Because no one's ever done it before.
I don't write like a script for myself when I do my voiceovers. I just wing it. And so many times I wish I did have some kind of script because I was just like, what am I going to say about this part? You know, but eventually after recording it like 5 times, I feel good about it. How many messages you guys get like a day for support? Like, is there a lot or is it kind of vary like dramatically?
It kind of depends. So, I mean, like today was pretty slow. I'd say we probably got 50.
Okay.
Like our posted support hours. But I'd say that's probably on the light end. But a lot of that's going back and forth with customers, correspond, troubleshooting, stuff like that. So,
aha, I found it. So happy I found it. I wrote the word schedule wrong. That's why I couldn't find it. Spelling errors. But this is good because I needed this because I told Sabretooth I want to do the same thing. So first thing I recommend is that you guys make a schedule that you post like at your tent. So okay. I just like lasered one for ours and you guys could do that too. Yeah. So I just put it on some wood. I lasered it on and then there was a beam literally on my tent. So I just fucking drilled it in. I was like, whatever. And then we had our schedule there all day because then people would come up. Actually, I can share my screen with you.
I'm making a little note of what you're telling me so I can be ready for this.
Yeah. Oh, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me minimize this. All right. So for Friday, so Maker Camp starts at like noon on Friday. And then it's all of Saturday and all of Sunday. And then Monday, there's usually like some things in the morning, but Monday would be like your pack up and get out of there day. Unless you guys did that Sunday night, like really late. But what we were like is we packed up most of it. And then we were like, okay, we actually want to have fun now because we just worked our butts off, So this was like our setup time. So you're going to either want to get there on Thursday or Friday morning, very, very early to get set up, depending on how much you guys need to do with the setup. So then we had a whole block of free carve from 1 to 6 on Friday, which we had 10 stations available for people to just kind of come in and be loose and carve. For you guys, it's going to be different because you're going to have a CNC there. So maybe you're doing like some demos or something that day, but plan on working for like 5 hours on Friday. And then just kind of figure out how you guys want to divide your time there.
I gotcha.
On Saturday and Sunday, you can see we kind of like have our schedule out there. It's pretty jam-packed from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. They want you in your booth and you could go later, but I refuse to go past 8 for working because I'm like, I'm tired by then. Like you just put in a whole day, and you're talking, there's at least going to be 500 people there. So you're talking to a lot of people in and out and stuff like that. So we kind of just broke it up. We had 2 areas you can see that we had closed on each day. And that was by looking at like kind of like your lunch schedule. They don't serve lunch, but they have breakfast and they have dinner there. So
Gotcha.
lunch, you're gonna want to like stop at a grocery store when you get in there and grab your guys some stuff. Or there's a couple places that you can order from, but there's like not a lot of options because you are literally in the mountains, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
super rural. So make sure you guys have yourself 2 solid breaks because otherwise you're never gonna leave there. And if it's posted, like I would make yourself carve yourself a close sign that you could put up for when you guys aren't in there, unless you just have somebody take that a shift that they're just gonna be sitting there.
Gotcha.
But definitely plan on sometimes. And then just it's really cool. People are coming there to do hands-on activities, to learn things. Like it's really involved. You can make as much sawdust as you want, so you guys can be carving all day because you're outside in a tent.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about dust collection.
Mm-hmm. And just like a little thing, I just told people to use Sabertooth's hashtag and to tag us so that way they can share. So that way, you can have as much interaction as possible with everybody.
Yeah,
Um, I will say there's not a lot of cell service up there. I think they said if you have AT&T, you get better service than people with Verizon.
I'm good.
Do you?
I do.
Then you're lucky. You'll be one of the few who can get service. I got service. Here's your helpful tips, people who are listening. You can get good service near the bathrooms, the porta potties, yes. Or you can get service in like the main lounge area that they have. Like there's a bar at night. So like once 8 o'clock rolls around, it kind of like there'll be some people still working out there. Like the blacksmithing tent really doesn't shut down. That goes all night. So like if you guys want to have some fun and take a break from manning your station, and venture out, go and visit all of the booths. You can do something like that's kind of why we had that lunch break that was 2 hours long because we want to do something because you don't
Yeah.
want to get stuck in there all day. And for us, there was just 2 of us and we were teaching 10 people at one time. We couldn't walk away because it was so loud. Like you got 10 power carving tools going and they're all hitting wood. And then people are asking you questions while you're wearing earmuffs. And I had a mask on because it was so like crazy. So
Just imagining like everybody yelling at each other. Like,
it was a lot of what? What? Hey, like just pulling my earmuff off because I could not hear what they were saying. So this year, as long as nobody gets sick, fingers crossed, because Jody, the manager at Sabertooth, couldn't come to Workbench Con because she actually got COVID 2 days before it happened. And it was my first, I've never met her. Like I've been working for her for a year and 3 months now, and I've never met her. I've not even seen her yet. So I have no idea what she looks like. And I was like so excited. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna finally meet Jody. And then she texts me like, I'm not coming. The owner of Sabertooth is coming instead. And I was like, no.
that stinks.
Yeah, because I work so closely with her. So I was so excited. But this year we're gonna have myself and Cecilia from the Shop Wood Design. I don't know if you know her. She's awesome.
I
She's
don't, but
the wood carver. She doesn't have a CNC, so you probably wouldn't know her.
I
Um,
gotcha.
and then we're gonna have Jody there to man it. And then she's actually gonna have a family member come who's a photographer and videographer to help get content because I was trying to run the social, be Sabertooth, and a teacher all at once last year. And I was like, I can't. Like that's just like my mind was like, how do I do this? I did get like a good amount of content, but not to where I could have. So like I'm super psyched to have a team of 4 there to do it this year. Like we're really coming and our tent's gonna be even bigger because we made so much sawdust. I made sure I told everybody like if we can get a bigger tent, like that would be the best option for us. We could add more carving stations and have the whole experience be even better.
That makes sense. And I kind of want to go back to what you're saying about like
Yeah.
not having enough time to be a teacher and, do all the social stuff and
Uh-huh.
be Sabertooth, like because that was one of the main things after Workbench Con that I really was like, how can I be better about that?
Yeah.
Because I started out the first day and it was like I was really adamant about, getting pictures and videos and things like for our
Mm-hmm.
social media. And then halfway through the day, I was so swamped that I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have time to stop and do this. And I still have clips for videos that I had planned to make that I never put together that have just been sitting because it's like
It's
there's so much to
overwhelming.
do.
Yep.
Um, so how would you
Mhm.
recommend me or someone in a similar role balance that? Like, obviously, you've got your hands in a lot of things. Like,
Yeah.
you're working with all these different brands and different events. So, how do you kind of balance that?
It's definitely a struggle. So that's a really good question. I was really organized in the beginning of last year, and I was using Trello, which is like a digital sticky note type.
Gotcha.
Basically, it's a like a website that you could have on your phone. There's an app for it and stuff, and you can kind of organize yourself with all the different duties that you have. And then inside of those like little bubbles or notes, there's label systems, and you can make different steps to kind of really help you get organized. I want to get back into being like that. So that's definitely a plan. I try to kind of divide and conquer. So I have a lot of different papers in front of me. So for Workbench Con, right, I have a social media plan for them that I'm kind of working on with Kristen, who owns Workbench Con. So we're going back and forth, and we're trying to think of like on Mondays, we're trying to have like a marketing post. On Tuesdays, we're trying to share a tip. On Wednesdays, we're trying to talk about like a fun subject that'll get people talking, like maybe it's a little controversial in a maker world, or maybe it's going to impact social media in some way, which affects all the content creators. So we're trying to bring topics like that, like having a designated thing has been helping us, because before I was just like, well, what would you like me to post? Like I can post what I want to post, but like, what do you want to see? So
Yeah.
for Onefinity, I would figure out what is the plan? Like, what are we trying to gain from the social media aspects of Maker Camp that we want to make sure that we hit? So kind of like, is it filming us doing a live demo? Is it, people touching the machines and just getting used to it? Are we just trying to get like happy people doing stuff just so we have some footage to put on our website later or YouTube? So I
Yeah.
think kind of having a goal of like, what is your desired outcome for Sabretooth? Mine was I wanted one reel for each day, kind of just highlighting what we did, what the day was like, and if we had contests, which we did, showing who the winners were, because I wanted them to get like an extra glory.
Yeah.
And I really liked having those, and I feel like they were really cool because you want to create FOMO too. Like
Hmm.
that's our biggest goal for Workbench Con. You want people to come back for Onefinity. You want people to kind of get to know like the brand is out there. We do care about everybody that has our machines, who are using them, and we're here to like get to know you. Like to me, that's
Yeah.
like the biggest part. Like that's number one goal, right? Get to know your people, answer the questions, and introduce the tool to new people. So I would just kind of like divide and conquer your goals, and then just try to attack those in that way. But yeah, I do a lot of spreadsheets help me out. And then really talking with the different brands that I'm working for on what they're looking for, and being directly honest about what I can actually do. Because I'll take on too much that I can't execute just because I'm such a hard worker, and then I'll stress myself out and I'll get it done somehow. And you don't want to do that to yourself. So I just like being honest about what you physically can take on. And that's why I was saying schedule those breaks.
Yes.
Step one, schedule
Something,
yourself some time.
just scheduling in general is not something I'm great at. And I'm working on getting better at it, but it's hard to get into the habit of being super organized with everything. Um, Especially when things are constantly changing.
Yeah.
Um, like I feel like the last 2 weeks we had an issue with some motors, with a batch of motors.
Okay.
Um, and maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't know. I'm gonna
I
say it
can,
anyway.
you can, and if you
No,
don't, I can,
no.
okay, perfect.
We're just going for it.
Well, you know what it is? It's really
But
good brand honesty right here. You're
but
being
like,
clear.
and it wasn't something we did. It was a issue with a supplier who was
Hmm.
producing the motors. They had one part that got changed out, and because of that, several of them were failing. And it took us 2 weeks to figure that out. And within those 2 weeks, it was like everything was just kind of in limbo. And
Yeah.
we figured it out, and we got it fixed, and we got everything sent out that needed to. So everybody's been fixed now and taken care of.
Good.
Um, but when things like that happen that you don't expect, it's really hard to, stay on task and on schedule. Especially when you're a large company that's working with small number of people,
Mm-hmm.
there's only so many of us that are really like doing things behind the scenes, and it just um it's easy to lose track of your time. So I think being organized and
Yeah.
trying to keep things on a schedule, even if you don't stick to it, really helps a lot.
It does, because then you see that you had it planned 2 days ago and you didn't hit that. So that's still on your mind. Like, oh yeah, I have that thing. Do you use your calendar at all? Like, do you schedule things in?
Not
No?
really. I mean, if I have meetings or things, I'll schedule those in. It's more of like I'll have a to-do list of, whatever things have to be done that day.
Yep.
And if I get through those things, I'll move on to, okay, well, what was on tomorrow's list, or what's something that's not as pressing, but it still needs some attention so that we can, make a little progress on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's always, 20 things going on. It's not just you do one job and then you do it till you're done and then you start the next one, because things have deadlines and all that good stuff. So, um, yeah.
How many people do you have that work for 150? There's 3 support, and then you have
So,
like the factory, I would assume.
yeah, there's like, I don't know. I don't even
Less
know
than
that number.
10 or
No, there's
more
more.
than
There's
10? Okay.
probably, I think there, I could be completely wrong on this, but I don't go in every day. So like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
seeing all these guys. But I want to say there's around 30 people now that are producing machines. I don't know what our numbers are right now, but I know up until about a month ago, we were sending out about 100 machines a week.
Wow.
Um, so I don't know exactly the math on that and all that, but I want to say there's about 30 guys putting machines together.
That's fantastic.
We've got three, 2 or 3 people running the office, and then uh, I'm going to give a shout out to Elmer. Elmer is our head of assembly. He makes sure all
Cool.
the machines get put together and all the packages have the right contents, stuff like that. So Elmer does a lot for us behind the scenes, and he doesn't get any recognition. So I want to make sure
I
shout
love
out Elmer.
that. Thank you, Elmer. We all appreciate you. We do, though. That's an important thing to make sure you have all the components that you need. Like,
Yeah,
it's a big job, especially with 100 going out the door every week, Like, that's crazy. How many users do you have? Like, do you know, like, how many machines are out there?
I want to say that we're close to 8,000 machines now,
So cool.
but I have no idea what that exact number is. I could look, but that's not really what I don't really deal
No,
with
that's just cool because I'm
I
kind
don't
of
really deal
thinking,
with the business side of stuff.
yeah.
I do, support and working with the community. So I
Mhm.
get the fun part of the job for sure.
Yes, you do. Well, the reason I was asking because I wanted to know, like, you said on average, or like today, you had 50 people who called in. Like, to know like how many users out there, like, it's kind of interesting. I like numbers a little bit. I don't love numbers, but I just kind of cool to see like how many or people are out there, actively using it, and they might have like a small issue. And like you said, 30 seconds, you could help them out, get them off the phone and onto their work. Like, that's what you did for me today. It literally was less than like a minute. I think we chatted for,
Yeah. So
and I was good.
we don't have phone support technically.
Yep.
Obviously,
I was a little
we're
special
friends,
case.
so you gave me a call.
Yeah.
That's a little different, but like we don't have
But
phone
even
support,
email support. Yeah.
but email support. I mean, there's always people that'll complain, but I mean, we get
Yeah.
back to you within an hour most of the time, if even that. So,
That's great.
but yeah, there's 3 guys doing support full time, so we try to keep it manned and uh, answering emails all the time. Every once in a while, I will make a call out if I absolutely have to, but usually that's with the
Yeah.
people who are not so technically inclined. Um,
Who need the extra guidance. Got
yeah,
you.
for sure. But yeah, it's pretty chill.
That's awesome.
We sell probably 10 to 12 machines a day. If I guess that's a pretty average number. So,
That's cool. I wish I knew numbers for Sabretooth. I would love to share them. I do know they only have 13 people that work there,
oh
which
wow, I didn't
I
realize that
know
they were that small.
it's that small because people think it's so huge. They get like, oh, Sabretooth's a huge power carbon company. And I'm like, well, technically it's 13 people in a factory. You know what I mean? Like, It's not a huge staff. And I'm like the marketing person and the social coordinator. Like I'm kind of filling that gap there too. And there's one designer, and then like who handles the website and stuff. And then there's a general manager, and then everybody else is like behind the scenes, like in the factory and stuff. So like there's really just like the team of three of us, like office based people, we'll say, and then
Hmm.
everybody else is in the factory working and stuff. So yeah, it's not a huge team.
And I get that. When we started, I wasn't actually working for Onefinity, but Mark Chaperny, who invented Onefinity, when it first started, they were working out of his two-car garage, like assembling machines. Like that's
It's
how
awesome.
the first couple batches went out. And eventually we upgraded and we got a warehouse now and we have 4 bays and we're growing, but like everybody starts small. You just don't
Hmm.
always realize how small it really is. So that's really cool to be a part of that though.
It is, yeah. I think it is too. And a team of 30s, it's bigger now, but yeah, you're not like this massive corporation where people like, I feel like people's minds always think things are bigger than they really are because they're a brand. But yeah, like a lot of brands, they start in their basements. Like look at my personal brands, you know what I mean? Like Night Carvers.
Right.
I
Yeah.
work out of my basement. I work out of my one car garage. Like that is me. Like, and I'm running two companies for, Workbench Con and Sabretooth from my house. Yeah, like it's pretty
Which is
cool.
ridiculous, but like
Yeah.
it goes to show you can be successful at it no matter where you're working from.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a being willing to do the work and
Exactly. Buckling down to it. Cause
yeah,
there was like a month or two where I just like, as grateful as I was for the opportunities, you get just like, you get sick of anything. Even if it's a wonderful, you get sick of anything. And I couldn't stand staring at carving for a while. Like I was just like, I love this. But man, I don't, you know what it was more like? I just couldn't stare at I was done looking at my phone.
yeah,
That's what it is. Like I didn't want to look at anything. Like I didn't care about any post. And I had to work through that because it is my job and that is what I do. Like we all experience burnout, but if you're going to be successful at this, you take the time for you mentally, like seriously, like pre-plan if you can, so you can have some off days. I will definitely recommend that to anybody to like schedule content for like 4 days ahead of time and just
hmm,
let those things hit and release so that you could get a mental break because you will suffer burnout, especially as a brand who is on social media every day. Like I post twice a day for Sabretooth and then 10 stories a day for them is like the bottom barrel. Like that is like, that's actually probably pretty helpful if you want to know, like kind of my inner workings for that is like, yeah, for Sabretooth, it's different than Workbench because I post there once a day and then I share whatever stories I find relevant for the day.
gotcha.
On Sabretooth, I'm posting twice a day and then 10 stories every day. And then every week I have a demo that I release. So I've been highlighting different products. Like eventually I'll run out of products and I'll actually be able to do like cool project videos, which
Yeah,
that I can't wait for. But right now I'm going through like my goal when I got hired is I said I want to do a video for every product that you have because I want people to be able to see you carve it in the wood. It just like eventually I'd love to have replaced the videos of me just going zzz, 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 and like have them project based.
yeah,
But right now we're just trying to show the tool going through the wood. And then I'm just, as I was telling you earlier, I don't have a script. I just kind of talk about my experience with the tool. If it had a lot of kickback, I try to like talk about like, oh, I had to be careful with this grain because I found it this. And like I do most of my videos with pine just because I don't want to waste a ton of hardwood. But
sure,
occasionally I'll mix in some hardwoods in there so people can see them carve through them. Essentially, they're just going to go slower and it's going
yeah,
to look smoother, you know? So, like, I try to explain that to people because I hate to waste like a $10 gorgeous piece of thing pine or sorry, like a hardwood when I could use this cheap cut off of pine that I have just sitting around, you know. So I'm like, like today they're probably looking at me weird. The video I sent was of a piece of edge that I cut off my one footity
sure.
of I was making a tray that had a wave edge.
I
So
gotcha.
I had a wave cut off. So I just was carving the wave cut off today in a video. I'm
Hey,
like, waste not, people, waste not.
no, I mean, I'm the worst about keeping scraps,
All
but like
right.
the worst, and I don't know why, because like I know I'll never use them. I know that, especially on this, like.
Yeah.
want something small enough, it's not practical to keep it, especially if you don't, like have the room for all of that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
so I've I've been struggling lately, but I threw some stuff away earlier today actually that I was like, I'm not going to use it. It's too small. Um, but it is a lot easier. Like you said, like picking up a piece of scrap. If I'm doing
Hmm.
something that is a test or whatever, like you said, you're just carving it, just a little
Yeah.
snippet of video.
Hmm.
So I get that. I definitely get that.
Yeah. I literally just had to show the tool running through the wood and what kind of texture it leaves back, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, why not use this rounded edge? I can show how the tool goes over an edge. Yeah, I'm like, it kind of perfect, you
Yeah.
know? So I try to be thrifty because, all of that it's not needed. I
Yeah.
would, I did one day, I was doing a new kit release video and I just made like a kit holder, like a little tool holder out of wood. Cause I'm like, I
Yeah.
need to do something today. Like I needed to be creative that day. But that's
Okay.
kind of like the nice part about like, I can put as much time as I want to in a video. If it just I have a set rate of that I charge for them, and then
Yeah.
it's up to me if I want to put that extra oomph in it, or if I go over the top. Like if I spend like 3 or 4 hours on a video instead of 2 hours, then
Hmm.
I'll just take out from my social activities and just post a little bit less there. But
Gotcha.
sometimes I really want to make it like a really nice video.
You're just like so much more organized. So my typical so on the Onefinity account,
Yep.
we get tagged with a bunch of stories every day,
Which is
um,
wonderful. It's
which is
perfect.
wonderful. It makes my life so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
I can go in and share those, and that's a lot of content in itself. But another thing I've really loved the last couple months um, has been Instagram when they added the ability to collaborate on Reels.
Yes.
That was the best thing ever because not only am I not having to come up with original content,
Mm-hmm.
but when those users, share it and they collaborate with Onefinity, they're also getting all the views from everyone who's looking at Onefinity. So it's pushing the entire community to that one person too. Um,
Collaborations are absolutely the best, and please keep doing them, people.
yes, please keep doing that. You're making my life easy.
Same.
Um, but no, really, and I think that's cool because it presents from the brand, not just the user, as hey,
Yes.
look what you can do with this.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's still giving them the credit, and people can go to them and say, hey, I want to ask you about how you did this, or little things like that. So it's a really cool way to share, I think.
I agree. It does help too. Like I'll have something planned to go out that day, and somebody tags us as a collaborator. I can now take that because I use the schedule feature in Instagram. I don't know if you do at all. Do you know about the schedule feature? Do you know how to get there? I
I
can.
do know about it, but I don't
Okay.
I don't plan that far ahead.
Well, when you start planning that far ahead after our call, you're going to use that post. You're going to set up a post. You're going to hit advanced. And then when you hit advanced, it's going to say schedule this post. You're going to click on that. And then you can schedule it for whatever day and then just hit schedule. And then
Okay.
it's in there. It's going to be in your scheduled post section. And if you need to reschedule that, you would just go into your scheduled post, click on the three dots and just hit reschedule and pick a new date. So
Okay.
that has been extremely helpful for me because if somebody collabs that day, oh, I can save this other content that I was going to share and I'll just post that tomorrow or next
Yeah.
week. Like now I've got that. If you're going to be traveling, say you want to do something, you can plan ahead. Like it's really, I recommend using the schedule feature.
I'm gonna have to look into that more
Yeah.
because that's something that would definitely be nice, especially like for like weekends or stuff that
Hmm.
I don't want to do anything.
Yep.
That's another thing that's been kind of weird. A lot of people have machines or are carving or doing any type of woodworking or
Yep.
epoxy, all that stuff on the weekends because they have a week job where they go to they're
Yeah.
working 5 days a week and then they get off and in the evenings and on the
Hmm.
weekends they're working. And it's weird because I'm doing support, but my schedule is the opposite because that is my job. Um,
Yeah.
so it's kind of weird being in the opposite boat of I'm not getting a ton of stuff done on the weekends like everybody else is, where that's the time that I want to be away from it.
Yeah. So if you can schedule posts to help you do that, And then the only thing you can do, obviously, you have the sharing of stories. Like you have to get in
Yeah.
there. I'm in the same boat. I work all the holidays. I work on every week, every day I work. I work 7 days a week. Like I don't stop. But on the weekends, I try to only do an hour for Sabretooth each day. And I try to pre-plan my workbench con stuff. But I am still doing probably around an hour so I'll probably 2 hours each day on the weekend. But it
Sure.
does like get in the way because like if you have to get up and you're going because you have to go and bring your kids somewhere and then you have a party to go to, like you're kind of doing it whenever you can throughout the day, or you're doing it at 9 o'clock at night or something before bed, you know?
Mm.
So
And then
pre-planning
I'm
helps.
thankful. I don't have kids yet, so
Yep.
I'm single, not married, no kids. So like that makes being able to go to shows and to
Mm-hmm.
work with people and go to have meetings and things like that. I'm really flexible, so I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, like you just said, not everybody is that way. Obviously,
Yeah.
earlier you said, "Oh, sorry, I was doing something for the kids when I called." So it's like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
everybody is always,
Yep.
on a different schedule. Um, but being young and single, it
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot with all of what I've got going on, and it also gives me the opportunity to be the one that gets to go to Workbench
Exactly.
Con, Maker Camp, and stuff like that. So it's been cool. Um, but I totally get where you're coming from there.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, but I think if you can pre-plan it, like so for the weekends on Sabretooth, all I do is share stories. So
Okay.
it might be less than an hour for each company if I pre-plan it. Because I do still schedule those posts. So those will go out automatically as long as I schedule them. If I didn't schedule them, then I'm doing more work, you know. But if you can be as productive, so my Monday normally, like today, was actually like a carve day all day. I was in the garage all day. But normally Monday is like when I buckle down and I like do as much computer work as humanly possible to plan for the rest of the week. So I'm setting up posts. I'll put a movie on and then I'll just sit on my phone and I'll be sitting there and I'll just be like, 'cause I repost stuff from other people. I don't know if
Mhm.
Infinity does that too. So
Yeah.
I'll be searching the hashtag. I'll be searching who's tagged us recently and I'll just be, do you use a reposting app like a scheduler?
I,
I
I have in the past, but I don't even know what I used. I haven't done any reposting in a while, if I'm being honest.
got you. So I have a great a repost app that I use. I'll copy their thing in. I'll get it in there. And basically, I just want them to put the person's name in the corner of the post. I just like having it
Yeah.
tagged there. That's literally the only reason why I want like the app to do it. And then I just write the dumbest things now lately. I've just gotten so lazy with my captions. I just write beautiful art by, and then I'll do hashtags that's relevant to whatever the person made, you know. So say it's a
Yeah.
carving of a dog. So then, whatever. So that way I can track some eyes to our page. I try to get people who normally wouldn't look at it because I have the advantage of, and you do too. Like people are making, well, some people are making art. Most people are making products. So it's a little bit different, but I get people's eyes that aren't carvers who just like to look at stuff because for us, the bigger I can grow the account, the better because I'm sharing artists who are selling their art. So it
Yeah.
really helps people want to tag us because they're getting recognition and they're getting people to follow their page. So like you said, it kind of works for everybody when people do the collab posts because they're getting others to follow them. So say you're a maker who makes products for other makers. If you're tagging Onefinity and they're sharing your products, that's helping you. You're helping promote other people's companies, and their
Absolutely.
businesses. So like it gets you further and further into the community, which again is one of the best parts about being in this maker world and selling tools. Like I never thought I would be working for a power carving company and for Workbench Con where all the makers go to learn to be better content creators. Like I never thought it's just a cool opportunity that I have right now. Like I worked hard to get there and I pushed myself in those doors, but I'm here, you know?
Yeah. Like it's not going to be like a quick and easy
Oh,
necessarily, but like it is totally doable if you really want to do it.
yes. Yeah. And we can talk more
Um,
about organization too, like offline if you ever want to dive in deeper. But I
Oh,
think just
we definitely need to do that.
yeah, I think getting a schedule for yourself is going to be huge because, like I said, once a week we have those saber-tooth videos that I do demos of, right? I put those
Yeah,
in my other, like I'll have them on a spreadsheet, but I also put them in my personal calendar. So when I'm looking at, hey, what do I have going on tomorrow or the next day? I try to look like 2 days ahead so that I can get that recorded, edited, and ready to post. And like I have to send it to Sabertooth for approval. So
I
I'll
gotcha.
send it to them, make sure that it's good, and then I gotta post this. And as you know, you gotta post it everywhere, right? You gotta post it on your Instagram, you gotta put it on TikTok, you gotta put it on YouTube, and if you do Facebook, you gotta put it on Facebook as well. And I do all four for Sabertooth. So
Yeah,
like
same.
it's a job. It's a job, you
It's
know.
that could be a full-time job in itself,
Yep.
just managing and posting on those things. But
Mhm.
as you know, there are many other things to do.
Yep.
Um, one thing, this was, I don't know why I thought of it when you were talking about posting a second ago. I thought about, um, you were talking about like the videos that, what kind of bring other people in that aren't typically part of that community.
Yep.
The videos that I don't know why, but I don't
I'm
have a
so
huge
curious
account.
now. Yep.
I don't have a huge account, but my videos that do the best are always the stupid, simple things. Like I had a video where I cut out a circle on the CNC, and it has
Loved it.
twice as many views as any of my other videos. And it's just a circle. It's 10 seconds long, but people love the little quick, easy,
Mm-hmm.
satisfying stuff too. But
I'm just laughing at that because I don't know if you listen to a lot of podcasts, but on Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard, he talks just about people love circles. So that
they
like
do. They really
my
do.
mind automatically went there. He goes, people just like circular shaped things. They just like seeing a circle. So it's
It's
kind
the
of funny
truth.
that that's what's working for you.
But yeah, circles. I've had more success with circles than anything.
I really hope after our conversation, people just start carving circles and posting. I'm
I
just
hope they do.
tagging
Um,
Onefinity.
there was actually I'll say her name, Leslie from Oak and Feather Decor.
Love her.
Uh, she had a Onefinity that I sent to her like a year ago, and I don't know, 2 months ago, she was cutting out a backer for one of her scrolled signs,
Yep.
and she was cutting a circle with her bandsaw, and she broke her jig or something, and halfway through the cut, it messed up. And my comment was, if only you had a CNC machine to cut this. And since then, I think she's cut all of her circles on the CNC, but they've all been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But that just goes to show circles, while they are simple, the CNC can make them perfect for you every time.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, my point in saying that was really to tie in that the CNC can get used for a lot of things. It's not just like you said that you're cranking out products a lot of times. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so many things that you can do with it if you are power carving, if you're scrolling, if you're doing all these things, you can supplement it with the CNC. So
Yeah.
that was my shameless little tie-in, but also I wanted to tell about Leslie and her circle. So
And that she kept her CNC in a box for 10 months. That too.
yeah,
Let's shame her. I'll make sure we
we
tell
should.
her she was in this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make sure she knows that I talked about her on here.
She's
She's
like the
gonna be
most
worried.
adorable, lovely person. So let's tell her how horrible she is too. That'll just make her feel great. No, she is the
No,
best. But no,
she's the sweetest.
she is. No, she's 100% the sweetest. But there's those things. And like, I make something that I don't see a lot of people carve on stuff. Like, I'm making art that I create digitally and then I put it onto the CNC. Like, it literally is. We'll talk one machine, many possibilities, or is it endless? What does it say behind your hat?
Infinite possibilities.
Infinite. Ah, yes. Okay. Yes.
Infinity, that's where that
That
comes
makes
from.
sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. But like, that's true. Like, a lot of people are making products, we'll say, like, soap dishes and bowls and all kinds of different things. But then you have others who are using them just like cut like the shapes, the backers to their things, or they're making templates that they can do so that people who don't have a machine can use those products. Like we were saying, like the makers making products for makers. Like there's so many different things that you can do. And to know that you guys have support. Is it every day from 9 to 3, or is it Sundays
Our
are off?
hours are more, so it's technically Monday through Friday from 9 to
Okay.
3, but we answer emails 7 days a week.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, we actually just hired somebody not too long ago to work weekends, so
That's
that I'm
awesome.
not working all the time. But yeah, so 7 days a week, and we typically, like I said, we typically respond within an hour unless it's, crazy early or crazy late.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, that's awesome. I love seeing the growth over the years. Like when I got my machine of how many people had them to now, it's just so cool. And then people really are like, I found so many other makers that I found from you sharing stories that I'm like, oh, they're making something cool. I actually want to follow this person and maybe I'm going to learn from them, because there are a lot of things like you're saying that makers that are making just products for your machine. You're like, oh, I didn't know that existed, or oh, that's a cool add-on I could get. And to know that people are sending to that, like those products to you guys to kind of vet them a little bit, it's just even better. It's just showing how we can all kind of tie in. And I love that. Also, before we end this, we do want to collab with you for Maker Camp too. So
yes,
I would love, my goal is, and I think Sabretooth's down for it, but I gotta check my email. I told him I was gonna reply to an email and I didn't today. Look at that. I failed my own organization, but I will tomorrow. I will tomorrow. I was carving for them. It's fine.
there you go. You were doing other
I
things.
Sabretooth all day actually, but still. Um, we want to do like a sign and maybe 3 signs. It might be just 3 different signs. One might just say Onefinity, or it might just be like, one says Sabretooth and one says Total Boat, or it might be like the Maker Camp logo, and then we carve that and then we'll leave like extra wood on the edges. So we'll carve out like the Maker Camp logo, and then I'll teach 3 power carving classes to carve the sign edges to make them really cool and unique and add some texture. And then I was thinking we could take that piece and we could bring it to the Total Boat tent and they would fill them all with epoxy, so that we could show that you could take a product off of Onefinity. You could go add some power carve texture to it and have some real fun with it. And then you could even go further and add another medium, which would be the epoxy. So that way all 3 tents have something that are going through it. And then they could even finish it with their like wood honey or something if it cures long enough. But it probably would all have to get carved on Friday. We'd probably have to power carve everything by Saturday morning, I would say. So that way they could pour it and have it done by Sunday.
Mhm.
So I don't know what your thoughts are, but I thought that would be a cool ass project.
Obviously, we talked about this
Yeah.
before we got on here and recording this, but like we're totally in. I still need to actually sign us up for Maker Camp.
Gotcha.
That needs to
Step
get done.
one.
That's step one for sure. But yeah, and like you said, like that just shows people, that you can use a CNC and you can use power tools, power
Mm-hmm.
carving, and epoxy, and a million other different mediums
Yep.
to create art and pieces and express, your creativity. And that's kind of what Maker Camp is all about. If I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
the whole,
Oh,
the whole,
100%. Like it could
um,
even go further. Like you could go to the welding table at Lincoln and they could put legs on a table. Like we could be making 3 Maker Camp tables. You know what I mean? Like we
there's
could
another
even,
idea.
yeah, we could even take it another step. Like that's the cool part about Maker Camp, because they're like, look, I'm bringing more ideas. There's also probably going to be a wood tent there and they could do the glue up for you. And then they could pass it to you and you guys could carve it. So that way you don't have to glue anything up. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah,
could really bring this all in.
I feel like this is just gonna keep evolving. But yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
um, but I think that's the whole point, and I'm all
Mhm.
for, we want to work with other brands. We want to work with
Same.
all these individuals. Like we work with JTech, who's another small company
Yep.
that does our lasers. Obviously, uh, PW and CNC, they do a lot. They've got their spindle kits and they've got a ton of accessories. Rowdy Roman,
Yeah.
Nick, Solidified Designs. There's so many people that have little things here and there for the CNC, and there's so many other brands I'm sure that work with you guys at Sabretooth and all that. So I mean, just being
Yeah.
able to spread the love kind of, and get to work with those people. And you get to meet new people, which is my favorite part of my job for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna have a cool experience like I did last year too. Like, just there's always like a random need for something because we're
Yeah,
all working on different things, and you might be able to just like spontaneously help somebody with something. Just that's like the cool part, and to be able to have like a computer there that you could design on the fly, like I definitely think that will be a cool opportunity for you if you want to do
yeah,
stuff like that. But yeah, you guys get to have fun. Whereas make at Workbench Con, we couldn't really let you guys
I
go
know.
for it. You know,
I
like we
wish
had.
they probably wouldn't have liked it if I was making sawdust in the hotel lobby, but
No, if we could get you guys in like a room or something for a class, because you could just wheel your machine
oh
into a
yeah,
room. You know what I mean? I think that would be a better like opportunity for you guys to actually teach a class there next year where you
yeah,
could just wheel your machine in there, have your demo, people could touch it, play with it, like, oh, look at it go. And then, wheel it back into the floor. I think that would be our solution for next year.
absolutely. I think
Yeah.
that might be something we have to talk about another time too.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. We'll dive into that more. Yeah. There's a lot to talk. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on and thank you guys for providing such support to everybody, not just me. I thank you for the special support. I appreciate that. I mean, no one heard that. I didn't get a call and you can't get a call either unless it's, you play that you don't know what you're doing. Um, but seriously, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I love all of you guys over there. Like seriously, since I believe I talked to Jen years ago. I don't know if she's still there, but
yeah,
she's the first one who I talked to from the company and she kind of like helped me get in the door. So like there's so many people that I've dealt with over the years and you guys have always just been awesome to work with. And that's why when we were talking and you wanted to talk Maker Camp, it's why I'm like, can I please just get you on the podcast? Like, I just want Onefinity on the podcast because I want to have all the brands that I work with come on here and hang out. Or like, even if I don't work with them and other people do, like, just come on here and get to know the people and introduce yourself and let them know what the company is doing for everybody that, it has that. But yeah, can't satisfy everybody. I'm sure you you run into that too, but
well, sure, but we try really hard to make sure everybody's happy.
I love
Um,
it.
but thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome.
Good.
Obviously, it's been a pleasure getting to know you through Onefinity and my job. But that's the biggest thing. It's just there's so many cool people that I've got to meet through this job and
Yeah.
through going to these shows and stuff like this. And I'm just so thankful for opportunity to do that and things like this. So again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm glad that Onefinity is coming to these shows now. Like,
Yeah.
it's dope. Like, I just got Sabretooth to start doing it last year. So to
Mhm.
see the companies jumping on board to hit needs. And again,
All
my
right.
kids, they love your stickers. So thank you.
I've got plenty more if they ever want them.
I'll let them know. They like how shiny they are.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right. You too. Thanks, Tiff.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you really enjoyed getting to know Stone. I have loved getting to know him over the last couple of years to see the way that he is continuing to build his relationship and how all of that community grow around him and Onefinity has been honestly amazing. So if you're not following him already, make sure you go ahead and head over there, follow him and follow Onefinity if you also are in the market for an amazing CNC. All right, I just want to say if you're going to be at the Maker Camp in the Catskills of New York, Columbus Day weekend, make sure you come by and say hello to myself and Cecilia from the shop Wood Design. We're going to both be there representing Sabretooth. We're going to be hosting all kinds of classes. There's going to be some really cool brand interactions, as you just heard, and so much more. So I can't wait to see you all. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.